A college student unexpectedly reborn into the world of Hokage and became a member of Uchiha, who was destined to be exterminated. In this cruel world of tolerance, facing endless wars and the exclusion of the village, where will Yuzhi Boqing go? P.S. In the later stages of this book, the protagonist will develop a cultivation system. Have you ever seen cultivating immortals in the realm of ninja? Keywords of the novel. The correct way for Yuzhibo to rise without pop-ups, the correct way for Yuzhibo to rise. Download the complete set of TXT, and read the latest chapters on the correct way for Yuzhibo to rise. Chapter 1. Crossing. Rebirth. Seeking Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Crossing. Rebirth. Seeking Collection, Ninja Realm, Fire Country, My Village. As the wealthy clan of the entire Kiba clan, the Uchiha clan has their own large territory in Kiba. At this moment, in an ordinary small building of the Uchiha tribe, a 2-year-old child was sitting on the steps in the backyard with a worried expression, occasionally scratching his head with his hands. Finally, the little boy who had to accept reality could only sigh dejectedly. So, am I really crossing over? The little boy muttered to himself, with a hint of confusion in his eyes, and then said uncertain. Or rather, rebirth. Forget it, it's meaningless to dwell on this. That's right. The little boy has a secret that he is not from this world, or more precisely, his soul comes from another world. That is a world called Blue Star, where the little boy's past life was a college student named Lin Qing. There, Lin Qing can also be considered a considerable elite, attending the top 10 universities in the country and being a top student with dual degrees in biology and medicine. When Lin Qing was in college, he fell in love with reading novels. The scenes of moving mountains and overturning seas in various fantasy novels made Lin Qing envious. Well, once I stayed up all night reading a novel, I accidentally became addicted to it. Watching it, my soul disappeared and I didn't wake up. Lin Qing's soul came to this world and became a little boy named Yuzhi Boqing. Perhaps it's a mystery in the womb. Yuzhi Boqing did not travel directly with memories. Originally, when he was a child, Yuzhi Boqing was also doing well without any abnormalities. It wasn't until the age of 1 that he began to dream of fragments of Lin Qing one by one. Over the course of a year, Yuzhi Boqing went from occasionally dreaming to occasionally having additional memories. However, Yuzhi Boqing did not speak up either. Perhaps it was a subconscious reaction, or perhaps he had seen similar things in his extra memory and knew that he should not speak up at this time, otherwise he would definitely be noticed and dissected. In this way, Yuzhi Boqing slowly awakened the memories of his past life. Even the parents who spent time together were unaware of the transformation that Yuzhi Boqing was slowly undergoing. In fact, this is also normal. Yuzhibo cleared the occasional extra memories he didn't tell his parents, and everything else was normal, just a child's behavior. He has always viewed those memories as something called movies inside. Until a few days ago, when his parents died unexpectedly during a mission, Yuzhi Boqing was deeply affected. In these 2 days, the memories of Lin Qing, who had been completely awakened for at least 3 years, have also been awakened. Yuzhi Boqing finally realized that he had traveled through time and had awakened his memories before. However, fortunately, with the existence of prenatal mysteries and the like, one's memory is awakened in segments. Otherwise, a newborn baby would be suspicious at first glance. Awakening one by one, slowly restoring all memories, is actually quite good, at least easy to accept. These days, Yuzhi Boqing has also sorted out his own situation. The parents of this generation are both ninjas from the Uchiha clan, who are part of the same team as Nakano. Among them, the father even had a double Goyu Sharingan, while the mother only had a single Goyu Sharingan. A few days ago, during a mission, I encountered a rebellion from Wuin village, and the entire team was annihilated. The reinforcements who arrived later also discovered their bodies, and based on the situation at the scene, inferred the beginning and end of the matter. The reason why Yuzhi Boqing was so young was that he knew about his parents' writing will eyes. It was completely because his parents had not disguised themselves in front of him before, and even many times they would proudly open their will eyes in front of him, educating Yuzhi Boqing and telling him about the power of the wheel eyes. Strange to say, since this great change in awakening all memories, Yuzhi Boqing now feels very clear-headed, and many memories of things can also be recalled. Of course, under the experiment, Yuzhi Boqing found that he did not have any unforgettable ability, but by carefully studying many things 3 or 4 times, Yuzhi Boqing could remember them. Yuzhi Boqing also speculated that he should have experienced a great change, and his soul has become stronger. Coupled with the acceptance of memories from previous lives, his soul has also been strengthened to some extent. However, these are not the most important. What Yuzhi Boqing cares most about now is the situation in this world. Yuzhi Boqing, who has been exposed to many memories of Lin Qing since childhood, is intelligent. At the age of only 2, he has already learned the language of this world and can communicate with people normally. He has no problem walking or anything else. Based on his limited understanding, if he guesses correctly, the world he is in is the world of a popular anime called Naruto in his past life. Alas! How could I be reborn into such a world? Ninja world, it can be said to be the most brutal world at the beginning, and it's also the Uchiha clan. Whenever he thinks of his identity, Yuzhi Boqing feels a headache. Yuzhibo, but he is going to be exterminated by that man. Yuzhi Boqing is afraid that one day when he wakes up, that man will stand in front of him and give him a fight. Regarding his future, Yuzhi Boqing also struggled for several days. This time, Yuzhi Boqing finally made up his mind, his expression became firm, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Damn it. Ninjas are necessary. In such a world, if you don't have strength, you will be slaughtered at will. To gain strength, becoming a ninja is the best choice." After making up his mind, Yuzhi Boqing also began planning his future. Firstly, it is impossible to be a genius. No matter what period it is now, the relationship between Uchiha and Kiba is not very good. If a gun hits a bird in the head and he is an orphan, once he is too excellent, he will face either the recruitment of the Hokage faction or the exclusion of the village, which is definitely endless trouble. Yuzhi Boqing first said his character design, but then he self-deprecatingly said, "Oh, I don't even know my talent yet, so I'm here thinking about whether I'll be there that day." However, soon after, Yuzhibo cleared up his contempt for himself. "In my past life, I was still a genius. Even if I came to this world of cultivation, I could still make some achievements. Moreover, my soul is strong and I have an advantage. And most importantly, I am Yuzhibo, with memories from my past life. As long as it's not bad luck, it's not too much to open a kaleidoscope, right? It's not excessive, it shouldn't be." Yuzhi Boqing, who has regained his confidence, is once again planning for his future. After briefly planning his own goals, Yuzhi Boqing also got up and returned to the house. Planning or something is the least reliable. Just set a rough direction, so let's tidy up and eat first. Recently, my parents have just passed away, and there are a lot of things to do. Let's think about our situation carefully when we have time later. These days, I also need to inquire about the news. You must know what time point you are currently at, right? Based on the memories from the previous year, the situation between Uchiha and Kiba is not as severe as before, and there is no sound of a coup or anything like that. It should be still early while cooking, Yuzhi Boqing muttered to himself. As a high-achieving student in his previous life, coupled with his parents often not being at home in this life, Yuzhi Boqing has been cooking for himself since he can walk and be sensible. Therefore, Yuzhi Boqing's cooking skills are still good, and in no time, the delicious food will be ready. Looking at the food in front of him, Yuzhi Boqing started to move. Although I have accepted everything and temporarily calmed it down. Yuzhi Boqing couldn't help but fantasize about scenes where he would achieve success in his future cultivation, and his every move would destroy the heavens and earth. There is also writing will eyes, and I don't know how to open them in the future. Sure enough, in novels, there are all lies, such as opening eyes at the age of 6, or even after the death of parents. It's completely different. Both parents can open their eyes. My bloodline should be fine, but when I receive news of my parents' death, it has been so long without any signs of opening my eyes. Okay, it seems that opening an eye doesn't necessarily require drastic emotional changes, other conditions still exist. Many things learned from past lives can only be used as references. It should be chakra, right? I don't even have a chakra right now. Isn't it that I'm thinking about eating? Although Yuzhi Boqing was eating, he still occasionally stopped to mutter a few words. Hey! Has Qing already prepared his meal? He is indeed a good child. By the way, what were you whispering when he first came in? Just as Yuzhi Boqing finished murmuring, a gentle voice sounded behind him. Yuzhi Boqing heard a sudden rise all over his body, but quickly realized, it's nothing, I'm just commenting on the food. Ha, ha. As he spoke back, he also secretly warned himself, it seems that we can't say everything in the future. Many things are enough to think about in our minds. Fortunately, we didn't hear it clearly this time. Otherwise, as a 2-year-old child, I would have been ruined if someone heard me talking about things like opening my eyes and my past life. Yuzhi Boqing turned around and looked at the door. I saw an old woman with a kind face and a hunched figure standing at the door, holding a basket in her hand. This old woman is a neighbor of Yuzhi Boqing. After her parents passed away, Yuzhi Boqing often came to take care of her during the days when she was in a daze. Yuzhi Boqing is still very grateful to this neighbor in his heart. After my parents died, I also relied on each other to take care of me for those 2 days, which was how I managed to survive. With the help of Yuzhi Boqing, the old woman walked into the kitchen and looked at the surroundings. She also felt sympathy for this 2-year-old child who had lost her parents. Kinga, life and death are predetermined, so don't be too sad. Your parents are in heaven and hope you can live happily. Also, in a few days, someone from the tribe will come and arrange for you to go to the orphanage in the tribe. If you don't want to go, I'll go tell them and take care of you from now on. Upon hearing the other person's concern for him, Yuzhibo felt a surge of emotion in his heart, but after thinking for a moment, he still refused. Grandma, let's forget it. I can take care of myself alone. Look, I can cook for myself. The old woman saw this and didn't insist anymore. She sighed and placed the basket on the dining table. These are the dishes I made for you. Although you have already prepared them yourself here, I'll leave them for you. Don't worry, they are warm and you can eat them tonight. In the future, if you're hungry, you can come to my house and my grandmother will cook them for you. After speaking, he turned around and walked out of the Uchiha Kiyoshi family. Looking at the back of the old woman, Yuzhibo felt a warm current flowing through his heart. It seems that Yuzhibo is not all arrogant, impolite, and has a strange temper. There are still many kind-hearted members of his tribe. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. For Year Changes, for Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. 4 Year Changes, for Collection. In this way, Yuzhi Boqing refused to enter the orphanage and started his own life with the assistance of the village and his family. In the blink of an eye, 4 years had passed. Over the past 4 years, Yuzhibo has cleared out the possibility of becoming isolated and has not performed too well in front of outsiders. Everything is just average. This is the persona set by Yuzhi Boqing for himself, a person who has been struck by the death of his parents and has since become isolated, even with a slight fear of death. Well, Yuzhi Boqing hasn't had the chance to reveal his fear of death yet, but it's getting close. He'll be going to ninja school soon, and with his self-introduction, this character will be established. Although he was not an actor in his past life and had never learned acting, Yuzhi Boqing was not afraid of his own mistakes. After all, to a certain extent, he acted in his true colors. Of course, Yuzhi Boqing himself will not admit this. Over the past 4 years, Yuzhi Boqing has also figured out the time point he is in. Now is the 28th year of the Kiba era, after the first ninja war, and the second ninja war has not yet begun. This can be said to be good news for Yuzhi Boqing. At least, there's no need to worry about extermination. Moreover, according to the current situation, I can at least graduate normally, and even after a few years of training, war will break out. With a perfect developmental time, Uchiha Kiyoshi naturally won't let it go. After multiple revisions, Yuzhi Boqing also developed a preliminary plan for himself. Of course, these 4 years have not been wasted by Uchiha Kiyoshi either. Although he didn't extract chakra, he didn't fall behind at all in terms of physical exercise. That's right, Yuzhi Boqing didn't mention Lian chakra. Actually, this is not to blame Yuzhi Boqing. Although, for some unknown reason, children in the ninja world develop their bodies quickly, extracting chakras is not as early as you want. It is usually not until the age of 6 that one can start trying Tiranzakura without causing any physical damage. After all, the ninja school setting the enrollment age to 6 is not arbitrary. As for why can those ninjas with families practice chakras in advance? Those ninjas have their own set of traditions, and through special medicinal baths, they can ensure that without damaging their bodies when extracting chakras in advance. Even medicinal baths can improve their physical fitness, giving them a greater advantage over their peers. Although Yuzhi Boqing is a member of Yuzhibo, he can actually enjoy medicinal baths and practice chakra in advance. But unfortunately, the money is not enough. Even among various ninja tribes, those who can enjoy medicinal baths and practice in advance are highly respected individuals within the clan. This is also because the cost of most medicinal baths is very high, which most families cannot afford. However, although the major ninja tribes cannot afford the medicinal baths for each tribe member, allowing them to start practicing chakras at the age of 5 or even 4, it is still possible for them to start practicing within the first 6 months of entering ninja schools. Generally, ninjas gather their eligible children 2 to 3 months before the start of ninja schools for training and teaching them how to extract chakras. Usually, this type of training is taught by the middle and even upper ninjas in the clan. In addition to guiding them in refining chakras, they will also be taught some unique techniques of their own family, such as the throwing technique of the Uchiha clan. At this point, let's take a big break from civilian ninjas. This is not a difference of 2 months. You should know that the ninja tribe taught in advance. Although it cannot be called one. On point 1, every eligible child will receive sufficient guidance. Generally, in less than half of the time, which is 1 month, they can successfully extract chakras. This is much more efficient than ninja school. You should know that in the first semester of ninja school's first year, there is only one teaching goal, which is to teach students how to extract chakras. Some students may not even be able to successfully extract chakras for half a year, and their teaching efficiency is high. That is to say, the ninjas of the ninja clan sometimes spend half a year more time practicing than the common ninjas of the same period. In the past 4 years, without refining chakras, Yuzhi Boqing has focused most of his energy on physical exercise. With a foundation of medical knowledge from his past life, Yuzhi Boqing always maximizes his physical fitness while ensuring that his body is not damaged. Now, Yuzhi Boqing has been able to do 100 push-ups at once, with a full jump reaching a height of 3 to 4 meters. In addition, Yuzhi Boqing also took the time to read a lot of books. This is also something that cannot be refined, and physical exercise cannot be done at all times. Yuzhi Boqing naturally needs to find something to do. For Yuzhi Boqing, who has good learning ability and was admitted to the top 10 prestigious universities in the country in his previous life, studying is a good choice. As a wealthy clan, Yuzhibo has an extremely rich heritage. In the Uchiha clan, there is a dedicated reference room established for their people, similar to a library in their past lives. Although there are no ninjutsu scrolls or various secret techniques or prohibitions inside, a lot of basic knowledge can be found here, which is sufficient for Uchiha Kiyoshi. Over the course of 4 years, Yuzhi Boqing spent about half of his time scrolling through the data room. Yuzhibo has read a lot of things, first of all medical knowledge. After all, this world is different from the past, and Yuzhi Boqing naturally needs to study the medical knowledge of this world, while also laying a good foundation for his future cultivation of medical ninjutsu. That's right, Yuzhi Boqing wants to practice medical ninjutsu. As is well known, ninjas who do not know how to milk themselves are not good ninjas. Yuzhi Boqing naturally needs to learn medical ninjutsu, and Yuzhi Boqing is very clear that he will definitely enter the research field like Orochimaru in the future. For the sake of research, various experiments cannot avoid medical ninjutsu, and mastering it early is also a good thing for Uchiha Kiyoshi. Apart from medical ninjutsu, most of the materials read by Yuzhibo are related to sealing techniques. As a continuation of the Warring States period, Yuzhibo has a long history, even dating back to the legendary era of Emperor Renzong. In terms of sealing, although it cannot compete with the Vortex clan, it is still enough for Uchiha Kiyoshi as a beginner to lay the foundation. As is well known, the strongest combat power system in the ninja world is not ninjutsu or sorcery, but sealing. It seems that in the entire realm of ninja, sealing is the most prioritized existence. Have you not seen that even the ancestor of Chakra, Otakuni Kanzuya, has been sealed in the moon for 1,000 years? Also, the Flying Thunder God technique of Wave Wind and Water Gate also uses a lot of knowledge about sealing techniques. Even the ability to successfully practice the Flying Thunder God technique and the sealing technique can be said to have greatly helped the Wave Wind Water Gate. Yuzhi Boqing, who is well aware of the importance of sealing techniques, naturally needs to lay a solid foundation in this area. With a strong learning ability, in addition to medical knowledge and a foundation in sealing techniques, Yuzhi Boqing naturally also looked at other things. However, most of them are basic knowledge of ninjas. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Clan Training, for Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Clan Training, for Collection. Today, Yuzhi Boqing woke up and finished his daily exercise. After finishing his meal, he didn't read a book. But after some preparation, go to the training ground behind Uchiha Mountain. Only 4 months have passed since the start of ninja school, and today is the day for the Uchiha clan to conduct early training for 6-year-old children. As a clan, the Uchiha clan also trained 1 month or even 2 months earlier than other ninja clans. It's not that other ninja tribes don't want to train in advance, but rather, early training is not only to help the younger generation in the clan extract chakras in advance, but more importantly, to lay a solid foundation for them. How to lay the foundation? Spend money. Training extensively every day, coupled with a daily medication bath, is not a small expense. Just take a daily medicinal bath, although it may not be as good as the one used by children who practice 1 or 2 years earlier, it still costs 5,000 taels per serving. This is all provided for free by the clan. Yuzhi Boqing has 2 subsidies from the village and the clan, with only 8,000 taels per month. Even if most of the food is cooked at home every month, with some additional expenses, it still costs at least 3,000 taels per month. In 4 years, Yuzhi Boqing only saved 200,000 taels of money. And the training in the clan will last until 1 month before the start of ninja school, which is 3 months, for a total of 90 days, with 5,000 taels of medicinal baths per day, for a total of 450,000 taels. More than twice the money saved by Yuzhi Boqing in 4 years. Although a large part of the medicinal herbs are collected by the clan themselves, that's also money. Selling it is also valuable. The bulk purchase of other medicinal herbs may offer some discounts, but not too much. This is just the money for each younger generation's medicinal bath, as well as various expenses in other aspects. Every year, there are more than 10 eligible younger generations, and the training provided by the clan costs over 20 million taels. The smaller ninja clan can't afford it at all. With so much money, they can only practice a few months in advance. Yuzhi Boqing sighed at the grandeur of his clan while walking towards his destination. Quickly, Yuzhibo saw the gathering place from afar, where many younger generations of the same age were already waiting. There was still half an hour left until the designated time in the clan, and Yuzhi Boqing didn't worry and walked slowly over. Don't be fooled by his laziness at this moment, it's one of the few relaxation times he's had in recent years. Naturally, he needs to relax and unwind well. The other children were playing with each other, and when Yuzhi Boqing came over, no one invited him, but he was rejected by Yuzhi Boqing. Yuzhi Boqing really can't play with a group of little brats, is it childish or not? He is also not worried about his behavior being suspected by others. There are still quite a few children in the ninja world who are precocious. After the death of their parents 4 years ago, Yuzhi Boqing has been looking precocious, and no one doubts it. As the designated time approached, 2 ninjas with the Uchiha clan emblem printed on their clothes, resembling a ping-pong racket, and wearing wooden leaf protectors on their heads, approached the Uchiha Kiyoshi group. One of the taller ninjas stood them up, counted the number of people, and immediately began their own teaching. Firstly, I introduced myself. Hello, I am the ninja arranged by the clan to guide you this time. My name is Yuzhi Boqing, Upper Ninja. I will teach you all the chakra cultivation and kuwu throwing in the past 3 months. The person next to me is Yuzhi Boqing, a special upper ninja who, like me, is responsible for guiding you, but focuses more on physical and technical guidance. Speaking, Yuzhi Boqing pointed to another short ninja next to him and said. Yuzhi Boqing also introduced his responsibilities to the little ghosts in front of him. Alright, kids, we don't need any trouble introducing ourselves anymore. Let's start our main lesson today. Within the same tribe, Yuzhi Boqing could also recognize them, so he did not ask them to introduce themselves, and he was not interested in these. Alright, the first thing we need to learn today is the extraction of chakras. Suppressing the excited group of little ghosts below, Yuzhi Boqing continued to preach. As ninjas, the most important thing is chakras. The number of chakras is directly related to how much a ninja can release ninjutsu, and also affects the power of ninjutsu. Therefore, next, you should practice chakras well and try to improve your chakra capacity as much as possible. Looking at the group of children below who seemed to understand, Yuzhi Boqing patiently explained. Alright, that's it now. You should also understand the importance of chakra. Next, I want to talk about the extraction method of chakra. Under the hot gaze of a group of children below, Yuzhi Boqing didn't hesitate and slowly explained the matter of extracting chakra. Chakra is an energy formed by the fusion of physical and mental energy, which is essential for ninjas to use ninjutsu. To extract chakras, it is important to control the ratio of physical energy to mental energy, which is generally different for different individuals. Only by finding the appropriate ratio can chakras be fused. What I want to say next is how to feel the physical and mental energy. Perhaps it was because the group of children below were listening in a daze. While explaining, Yuzhi Boqing asked them questions and gave answers. In this way, the group of children below also had a preliminary understanding of what Yuzhi Boqing was talking about, including physical and mental energy, as well as how to feel it. Yuzhi Boqing finally let them understand and breathed a sigh of relief. To be honest, this really tests a ninja's skills. This is like teaching a child mathematics, without a certain level of proficiency, they really can't teach it. Ordinary ninjas may not necessarily be able to do better than Uchiha. Yuzhi Boqing nodded in satisfaction. Great, it seems that everyone has figured out the knowledge of physical and mental energy. Next, what I want to talk about is how to integrate chakra. Of course, don't be fooled by the difficulty of extracting chakras. Once there is a successful fusion for the first time, the body will remember this ratio, and in the future, extracting chakras won't require such effort. Another big explanation, as the children nodded, Yuzhi Boqing finally breathed a sigh of relief. Finally finished, the rest should not be so difficult. Feeling comforted in his heart, Yuzhi Boqing turned his gaze to Yuzhi Boqing beside him. We will officially start learning the Painless throw tomorrow. Next, what you need to do is to cultivate your physical skills, which will be handed over to Yuzhi Boqing. After Yuzhi Boqing finished speaking, a group of children below heard that they were going to practice physical skills, and some of them were directly discouraged. Of course, there were also children who were full of energy and confidence. Upon seeing this, Yuzhibo was not used to the discouraged children and directly used force to intimidate them, forcing them to start training in physical skills. The so-called physical technique refers to the combat technique of using chakras enlarged body to engage in combat, or directly utilizing powerful body combat skills. There is no shortcut to practicing physical skills, it is just to study and practice diligently day after day. The most important aspects of physical fitness are physical fitness and combat experience. For the next 3 months, you will need to do a lot of physical exercise and engage in a lot of battles every day. Of course, the clan will provide you with medicinal baths to ensure that it will not cause any damage to your body. Alright, for today's first class, let's start with physical exercise. Each person runs around the training ground for 20 laps, and the punishment for not being able to finish is, I think you definitely don't want to experience it. A group of 6-year-old children, unable to withstand the intimidation of Uchiha Shin, were all determined to complete the task. Besides, Yuzhibo's training ground is smaller than Kiba's training ground, with 1 lap of 5 kilometers and 20 laps of only 100 kilometers. It's not difficult to complete. Right. It's not difficult, is it? Some careful children, after careful calculation, were indeed startled. 100 kilometers, are you joking? Unfortunately, with the announcement of the start of Uchiha Shin, even reluctantly, they had to start running. During this process, Yuzhi Boqing remained low-key. He actually understood Yuzhi Boqing's guidance in one go, but he also listened carefully to Yuzhi Boqing's explanations afterwards. Explaining from different perspectives can always make one's understanding more thorough. As for the task assigned to them by Yuzhi Boqing is not very worried. For the past 4 years, Yuzhi Boqing, who has been exercising, has the best physical fitness on the field, and can still run 100 kilometers in a day. On the contrary, Yuzhi Boqing was very happy. Since Yuzhi Boqing dared to assign a 100-kilometer task to this group of 6-year-old children who had hardly exercised or had little exercise, it indicates that the medicinal bath provided by the Yuzhibo tribe must have better effects than he imagined. With the order from Uchiha Shin, several energetic children rushed out first, noticeably 1 level faster than the other children. The remaining few people are also desperately chasing ahead of the pursuers. Yuzhi Boqing did not blindly accelerate, but tried to maintain a constant speed and control it at around 70.8% of his fastest speed. In this way, Yuzhi Boqing did not fall behind, and was considered the same batch as the others who were desperately chasing after him. Yuzhi Boqing's choice was also very correct. The other children had only run 2 or 3 laps and had to slow down, panting heavily. And Yuzhi Boqing, except for being a bit tired, his speed was not affected and his breathing was relatively even. Upon seeing this, Yuzhibo also secretly praised, knowing to run at a constant speed from the beginning is a smart child. As time passed, he ran more and more laps, and Yuzhi Boqing gradually began to pant and sweat profusely. However, Yuzhi Boqing gritted his teeth and continued to maintain his speed while running. Yuzhi Boqing knew that in order to break through his physical fitness, he had to repeatedly break through his limits. However, this inevitably caused damage to his body. Generally, before mastering medical ninjutsu, he could not afford the high medical expenses. So this time, he had an opportunity for special training, and with the medicine bath provided by his clan, Yuzhi Boqing plans to exercise his body well in these 3 months. Please collect. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Painless Throwing, for collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Painless Throwing, For collection, Yuzhi Boqing dragged his exhausted body back home step by step. Difficultly preparing the bucket, boiling the water, soaking the medicinal bath bag issued by the clan in the water, Yuzhi Boqing took off his sweaty clothes and crawled into the bucket. As soon as he sat in, Yuzhi Boqing felt a burst of comfort. Sure enough, after exercising, taking a hot bath is just comfortable. Yuzhi Boqing closed his eyes and began to enjoy it. At the same time, the various nutrients in the medicinal bath began to recover from the damage on Yuzhi Boqing's body, and were continuously absorbed by Yuzhi Boqing, enhancing his physical fitness. Unconsciously, Yuzhi Boqing also fell asleep. Yuzhi Boqing was soaking in the bucket and slept for about 2 hours before waking up. Yuzhi Boqing couldn't use any strength all over her body now, but feeling the hunger in her body, Yuzhi Boqing rubbed her eyes and struggled to climb out of the bucket, put on clean clothes, and started cooking. It seems that we need to cook more meals in the morning in the next few days, keep it warm until we come back in the evening, soak it in a medicinal bath, and you can eat it directly. Feeling his hollowed-out body, Yuzhi Boqing also made adjustments for the next few days. The medicine bath bag can be soaked all night, so after dinner, Yuzhi Boqing changed himself into a bucket of water, poured it into the medicine bath again, and soaked it in. The next morning, Yuzhi Boqing woke up in the bucket of the medicine bath. Rubbing his eyes and feeling a stronger body than before, Yuzhi Boqing was very satisfied with yesterday's exercise effect. The effect of medicinal bathing is also good, but unfortunately, it is too expensive. When you have time, make sure to earn some money well. If you take medicine baths every day, you won't be afraid of not getting enough physical skills. Yesterday's training intensity was unprecedented for Yuzhi Boqing, who also relied on his strong perseverance to barely hold on. The overnight medicinal bath was quite effective. At least Yuzhi Boqing now feels very healthy and can clearly feel her progress. Of course, Yuzhi Boqing also knows that this is the first time he has broken the limit, and his physical fitness itself is not very strong, so he naturally improved a bit. In the future, as his physical fitness improves, even if he breaks through the limit, the progress will be smaller and smaller. This is also the reason why there are very few physical ninjas. Although the initial results are quick, the progress becomes smaller as the progress progresses. Basically, one can only rely on perseverance to persevere and train day after day, which can only earn a little progress. In the original work, only Matt and his son, as well as Shaoli, achieved success in physical arts. Although their behavior was quite humorous, their perseverance in enduring loneliness and exercising day after day still impressed Yuzhi Boqing. Therefore, early effective physical techniques are also the main means of improvement for those who endure. After being promoted to ninja, with the abundance of chakras, the ninjas gradually shifted their focus to ninjutsu. The reason why many times it is said that one has reached the level of upper endurance in physical skills, but more often it is said that one has a level of upper endurance in combat skills. A true ninja at the upper ninja level is a type of physical ninja that can use various ninja techniques on its own, making it indistinguishable from the upper ninja. In the original work, it was only Might Kai who achieved it. Even his father, Might Kai, did not achieve the ability to open the 8 gates of Duanjia under normal circumstances, or in other words, without physical damage, and possess the power of upper ninja. Leaving aside the difficulties of physical skills for now, feeling the strength of his body, Yuzhi Boqing is very satisfied. Following this trend, as long as he tries his best every day for the past 3 months, he may be able to have a lower level of endurance in physical skills before the start of ninja school. Since arriving in the realm of ninja and awakening his memories, Uchiha Kiyoshi has always had an inexplicable sense of urgency, constantly urging Uchiha Kiyoshi to make progress. Only with increasingly strong strength can Uchiha Kiyoshi feel at ease. After a simple warm-up exercise, Yuzhibo took a shower, rinsed off the medicinal smell on his body, and put on clean clothes. I came to the kitchen and started cooking today's meal. Over the past 4 years, Yuzhi Boqing has developed a good culinary skill. In just 20 minutes, he has finished cooking, leaving the dinner portion in the pot and covering it with a lid to keep warm. Smelling the aroma of the food in the bowl, Yuzhi Boqing felt a moment of satisfaction. It's so fragrant, this is life. Taking a deep breath, Yuzhi Boqing enjoyed the rare moment of enjoyment. Good times are always fleeting. After breakfast, Yuzhi Boqing had to tidy up her mood and prepare herself for today's training. Thinking of the cruelty of this world, Uchiha Kiyoshi also secretly boosted himself and strengthened his determination. Yesterday was just a simple adaptation, today is the official start of the special training. In the following days, in the morning, Uchiha guided Chakra's practice and practiced without throwing. In the afternoon, it was Yuzhi Boqing who provided them with physical training. Early this morning, a group of 6-year-old children had arrived at the training ground. Although yesterday's training was tiring and even many people fainted, a group of 6-year-old, energetic children woke up early and no longer felt sore. On the contrary, they were very comfortable, so they naturally forgot about yesterday and came to the training ground early. During the special training period, due to the need for a large amount of physical training every day, a group of children did not have the extra energy to practice chakras after returning home. Therefore, for the past 3 months, Yuzhi Boqing's chakra refining time was arranged for the morning training every day. Moreover, with the presence of Yuzhi Boqing, they can better guide their chakra cultivation. Yuzhi Boqing also arrived at the training ground on time today and nodded in satisfaction as he looked at the younger players who were all in place below. According to the arrangement of your clan, you should have some time every morning to practice chakra. However, with a strong body and willpower, one can feel both physical and mental energy well. Therefore, for the first week, I will only talk to you about some precautions for practicing chakra, and most of the time will be used to train painless throwing. I believe that after completing the exercise arranged by Yuzhibo Xin for you for a week, there will be significant progress in both physical fitness and willpower. When it comes to refining chakra, it will actually be twice the result with half the effort. Yuzhi Boqing roughly explained the recent arrangements to the younger generation and then began today's teaching. To be honest, Yuzhi Boqing is quite gentle and will explain everything to Yuzhi Boqing and his team. When encountering a ninja with a bad personality, I probably won't have the heart to explain it to them, and coming up directly is my own guidance. However, it is not surprising, after all, it is a special training prepared by the clan for the younger generation. In terms of personnel selection, the senior members of the clan will naturally have a round of selection. It is also a time of peace now, and all major clans are not so nervous. The training of the younger generations in the clan is also mainly gentle. If it were during the war, it would probably be a different situation for the ninjas selected from the clan and their teachings. Alright, I just talked to you about some precautions during the chakra cultivation process. Next, I will teach you the throwing technique of our Yuzhibo clan. It can be said that in the entire ninja world, our Uchiha clan's throwing skills are definitely the strongest. So you also need to train well and strive to master the throwing skills of our Uchiha clan as soon as possible, so that you can also have an advantage in the next stage of endurance. Yuzhi Boqing did not directly start teaching them the technique of painless throwing. I saw him take out a scroll and seal it with both hands. Bang! After a burst of white mist, hundreds of standard painless items came into view. Yuzhi Boqing instructed the younger generation below to take 10 kuwa coins. Yuzhibo also sighed from the bottom of his heart. Indeed, either they are a big clan, and with just one special training, each person received 10 bitter nothings. You should know that even the worst standard of suffering is war supplies, and 1 coin costs 1,000 taels. These 10 bitter nothings are 10,000 taels. However, thinking that no one would receive 450,000 taels of medicinal baths just from the clan, Yuzhi Boqing easily accepted these 10 bitter nothings. Ah! That's 10,000 taels. Yuzhi Boqing needs to save up for 2 months. During this period of time, Yuzhibo also realized that he was not as bad as in various novels. At least in terms of treating his own people, he was still very dedicated. At the same time, Yuzhibo King Cindy also recognized the family more. After Yuzhibo finished emitting kuwu, he also picked up a kuwu and began to explain the structure of kuwu. Ren has many choices, such as kuwu, shojin, qianben, and so on. The most commonly used one is to have no more suffering. Kuwu also has different styles, and what you hold in your hand is the most common one. The standard kuwu has a fixed shape and is mass-produced. Many powerful ninjas choose to customize Kyumo in a special way, which not only makes it easy to use, but also unleashes stronger power if made of special metal. Kuwu throwing is not as simple as imagined. Although the knowledge used in it is not specifically categorized, Yuzhi Boqing has received 9 years of compulsory education in his previous life. From Yuzhi Boqing's explanation, he can at least hear a lot of physics knowledge such as momentum and fluid pressure. It also has a foundation, and at least in terms of theoretical understanding, Yuzhi Boqing is still very relaxed. Of course, this is compared to other children. The various complex changes involved in painless throwing cannot be learned in just one morning. Many times, progress without throwing requires continuous practice in order to make progress, and theory is only an auxiliary role. Sure enough, looking at the bewildered little eyes of a group of children below, Yuzhi Boqing also spoke awkwardly. Alright, besides learning so many theories, we also need to practice more. Next, we will start practicing painstakingly without throwing. Alright, come with me. As he spoke, Yuzhi Boqing led a group of children towards the area without training. On one hand, Yuzhi Boqing also taught them the common sense of painstakingly throwing. The practice of painless throwing usually starts with a fixed target, followed by a moving target, and finally the most difficult task is to throw multiple painless throws simultaneously. In these 3 months, you have been practicing fixed targets and moving targets more. Today, our goal is not to practice accurately, but mainly to learn to work hard without throwing. When there is no pain in throwing, it is more comfortable to grip like this, and the opponent's damage is minimal. In addition, with such standard movements, it is unlikely that the opponent will complete the damage. Everyone, take a look at my presentation. I saw Yuzhi Boqing pick up a kuwu, grip it according to the technique taught earlier, and then perform a standard action. Whoosh! Kuwu had already flown out, and there was also an additional kuwu at the center red dot on the opposite target. A group of 6-year-old children also exclaimed in surprise, even Yuzhi Boqing was like this. After all, no matter how mature he was also a vegetable chicken. Seeing the demonstration of the big shot, he was still shocked. Next, 15 children took turns throwing painlessly under the guidance of Uchiha. A morning has passed like this. After practicing painless throwing all morning, the wrists of all the children were sore and even numb. Yuzhi Boqing gave them a simple treatment, applied the unique ointment of the clan, and handed them over to Yuzhi Boqing. A group of children with disabled wrists underwent an afternoon of training such as running and frog jumping under the guidance of Yuzhi Boqing. Well, finally my whole body is completely useless. I guess it's complete now compared to yesterday. Yuzhi Boqing found it even more difficult to move back home today. Fortunately, I had foresight and prepared dinner early. Otherwise, given today's situation, I might not have been able to eat. With a bitter smile, Yuzhi Boqing no longer hesitated. He poured the hot water into the bucket and soaked it in the medicine bath bag. Take out dinner from the kitchen, set it aside, climb into the bucket, rest for an hour first, then soak it directly in the bucket, pick up the dinner and eat it. After finishing his meal, Yuzhi Boqing added some hot water to himself and continued to enjoy his medicinal bath. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Chakra, Seeking Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 6. Body Art Battle, for Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Body Art Battle, for Collection. After extracting the chakra, Yuzhibo calmed down for a moment and then continued to refine it. For the first time refining chakra, Yuzhi Boqing needs to know the approximate level of his limit, which is convenient for him to control in the future. Chakra is formed by the fusion of physical energy and spiritual energy, and has only a strengthening effect on the body without any feedback or other benefits. That is to say, if the body cells have to work, they won't be paid yet. It's too scary. So, compared to other cultivation systems, the path of chakra does not increase lifespan, on the contrary, it will also consume lifespan. Don't be fooled by the fact that those ninjas who haven't died in battle have similar lifespans to normal people, there is actually a difference. Although the lifespan of ninjas has been compromised, they exercise year-round and are not affected by diseases. But ordinary people are different. With weak bodies and illness, they may not live up to their normal lifespan and die prematurely. Overall, chakra can bring powerful strength, but it can also cause damage to the body, making it a double-edged sword. Although in such a world, the most important thing is to survive. But when Yuzhi Boqing came to such a world where he could cultivate, he naturally wanted to have longevity. Therefore, if chakra could be refined less, he should try to refine it as little as possible. Anyway, he cannot refine it to the limit every time. In the previous 4 years, he also thought of ways, but now that chakra has just been refined, Yuzhi Boqing doesn't have time to implement his own ideas. Yuzhi Boqing was fully refining chakra, knowing the warning message coming from his body in the dark. Only then did Yuzhi Boqing realize that he had reached his limit. The chakra in the lower abdomen, which is significantly thicker than the size of a strand of hair, is twice the average level of the tribe mentioned by Uchiha. It also made Yuzhi Boqing realize that his talent on chakra is good. Feeling the emptiness in his body, Uchiha let out a deep sigh. Unfortunately, it cannot be refined to the limit state in the future. But it's also good. In the future, refining half the amount each time can also hide one's talents. Yuzhi Boqing can only comfort himself in this way in his heart. Before Yuzhi Boqing could think anything more, Yuzhi Boqing woke everyone up. Alright, today 5 more people successfully fused the chakra. It's not bad, but it's been 3 hours now and it's time for painless throwing training. We haven't refined the chakra yet, so we need to work hard tomorrow. Upon hearing Yuzhi Boqing say that 5 more people have successfully extracted chakras today, some people clearly looked envious. That's the few who haven't successfully fused with chakra yet, but it's also fast. They are all stuck in the process of searching for proportions. However, if they were to know that Yuzhi Boqing had found the correct fusion ratio in just 2 hours, they would probably be furious. The day's exercise quickly came to an end, and Yuzhibo Qingzhao often returned home, took a medicinal bath, and thought about his future plans. Now, it can be said that Kiba has been a very peaceful period. Although the 3 generations have been in power for a long time, they have only just grasped the power in their hands. Tuanzang is also busy consolidating his power and has not yet had the intention to suppress Uchiha. Moreover, various signs indicate that although Tuanzang strictly inherits the ideas of the 2nd generation, the 2nd generation Hokage Kazuma himself did not necessarily want to suppress Uchiha, but just wanted to restrict him. The reason why Tuanzang is so active is partly due to his greed for the power of the first Hokage thousand-handed pillars. He discovered that only the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan could suppress the cells between the pillars, which led to his crazy collection of Sharingans. The second point is that Tuanzang didn't know where to find out about the ninjutsu of Izanagi. Under greed, he intensified his efforts to suppress Uchiha and secretly assassinated the elite of the Uchiha clan who opened the 3 Goyu. However, at present, Tuanzang should not have started researching the columnar cells, and he is also unaware of the ninjutsu of Izanagi. Now, the situation between the village and Yuzhibo is not so confrontational, it seems more like a different stance. However, even so, it makes sense for Mu Xiu to be destroyed by the forest wind. The talent is too good, and even the 3rd generation and the team do not allow their status to be threatened, especially the Uchiha clan. The root of the group hiding is actually lacking in people. If someone were to be targeted and spend a lot of money getting themselves inside, wouldn't that be disastrous? Hidden talents are necessary, only in this way can we grow better and smoothly. Yuzhi Boqing kept spinning his thoughts, thinking about various possibilities, and ultimately decided to hide them. For his own talent, Yuzhi Boqing can still appreciate it. Chakra quantity is only one aspect, and the various books he has read before, perhaps due to his strict and formal higher scientific education in his past life, Yuzhi Boqing can quickly understand. What does this mean? Yuzhi Boqing's ability to learn ninjutsu is definitely not bad, at least in medical ninjutsu and sealing techniques. But aren't these two already the most difficult systems to cultivate? So Yuzhi Boqing needs to hide his talents and at least reduce the possibility of being noticed. Physical skills are not yet highly regarded, so the talents of physical skills can be appropriately exposed, although I don't have particularly outstanding talents in this area. However, I am a mature person who knows what I want and won't slack off during training. Compared to other playful children, I have a gap in training time, so it is not difficult to disguise myself as a physical genius. And then, along with medical ninjutsu. The revealed ninjutsu should also be defensive as much as possible. In this way, doesn't it further solidify one's fear of death? And upon careful consideration, it's pretty good. Cough. It's not that I'm afraid of death myself. Character needs it, yes, character needs it. Yuzhi Boqing firmly refuses to admit that he is afraid of death. After thinking about it, I have also determined my own development direction. Medical ninjutsu and defensive ninjutsu are not urgent for now. Let's still consider the issue of physical techniques. It won't be long before we start practicing our combat skills. Since the direction has been determined, let's focus on defense in all aspects. Having figured out his short-term goals, Yuzhi Boqing also fell into a deep sleep. In the following week, the remaining few also succeeded in extracting chakras one after another. Yuzhi Boqing also effectively disguised his chakra talent. After practicing for a month, the painless training did not result in sore hands every time. Yuzhi Boqing also seems to have calculated everything accurately. The morning training did not delay the afternoon battle, and with everyone successfully refining the chakra, the training for the battle began at this time. Starting today, we will add some physical combat techniques every day. The previous month, I also talked to you about some techniques and precautions during physical combat. Today, let's take a look at your achievements. Yuzhibo Xin said so, but in fact, he didn't have much expectation in his heart. After all, in the previous month, he trained these little ghosts to their limits every day, and probably no one had the heart to listen to the skills he taught. Sure enough, 3 battles were fought, it was simply unbearable. Although it's not like a chicken pecking at each other, it can't be considered a battle. Yuzhi Boqing continued to click on the next group. Yuzhi Boqing fights against Yuzhibo. Upon hearing his opponent's name, Yuzhi Boqing didn't recover for a while. Yuzhibo. Are you afraid you're not brothers with Uchiha? Yuzhi Boqing is not mistaken. Yuzhibo is indeed Yuzhibo younger brother, but compared to Shangren's brother, Yuzhibo appears much more mediocre. Of course, all of this has nothing to do with Yuzhi Boqing. After finishing the roll call, Yuzhi Boqing took a step forward with another skinny child. Yuzhibo is indeed somewhat similar to Yuzhi Boqing, even being taller than his own brother, higher than his peers. At least among the children present, no one is taller than Yuzhibo. As Uchiha Shin issued instructions, Uchiha Kiyoshi and Uchiha Tao formed a seal of opposition. Then they jumped in opposite directions, first widening the distance. Yuzhibo, as the younger brother of Yuzhi Boqing, although he did not receive any preferential treatment during the special training period, he still had an upper ninja brother who had been guided by Yuzhi Boqing in many battle skills since childhood. As soon as he came up and distanced himself, Yuzhibo took out a handful of kuwu. The reason why it is said to be a sword is that the kuwu extracted by Yuzhibo is different from the standard kuwu during training, but is tailored to the user. Yuzhibo holds kuwu and can be used as a short knife. Yuzhi held Kowu and quickly approached Yuzhi Boqing. Yuzhi Boqing was also a bit surprised. He had never thought that weapons could be used in the battle before, but seeing that Yuzhi Boqing did not stop him, he probably tacitly agreed. Dodging the opponent's blow, Yuzhi Boqing quickly took out a standard Kowu before the opponent could recover. Although the system Kowu is used for close combat and is not as convenient as the opponent Kowu, Yuzhi Boqing cannot accept Kowu bare-handed, can he? It's not that Neza is 100% empty-handed and takes the blade. Yuzhi Boqing regained his strength and thrust towards Yuzhi Boqing again. At this point, Yuzhi Boqing had already taken Kowu and turned to his side, holding Kowu in front of him and blocking the opponent's horizontal strike. Yuzhi Boqing retreats at a touch. Yuzhi Boqing saw that he couldn't easily capture the opponent, so he kept making moves, chopping, and stabbing. Although he didn't have high technical skills, he was still considered average. At least in Uchiha's opinion, his performance is much better than in the previous few games. Just. Yuzhi Boqing frowned and looked at Yuzhi Boqing, who was constantly using painless blocking techniques. Although he was very satisfied with his blocking skills. How dare you counterattack? It seems that you are not in a panic and don't know how to counterattack. Why have you been forced to resist all along? Yuzhi Boqing was unaware of the psychological activity of Yuzhi Boqing beside him, constantly blocking Yuzhi Boqing's attacks. From the beginning, he struggled and gradually became more adept. This progress surprised all the Uchiha Shin beside him. I didn't expect this kid to have a natural talent in physical skills and make such significant progress. You're attacking. What the hell is blocking without attacking? Yuzhi Boqing initially praised Yuzhi Boqing in his heart, but then became frustrated with Yuzhi Boqing's only blocking behavior. Yuzhibo couldn't help but think, I finally saw that a person with a talent for magic wouldn't end up only being able to defend, right? Shaking his head, Yuzhi Boqing continued to look at the warring sides in the field. At this point, Yuzhi Boqing and Yuzhi Boqing have been fighting for 10 minutes. I have never been able to win Yuzhi Boqing, and Yuzhi Boqing is also anxious in his heart. Due to being in an attacking state, Yuzhi Boqing's stamina has gradually become unsustainable. On the contrary, Uchiha Kiyoshi, who only needs to defend, is still quite energetic and can play for at least 5 or 6 minutes. Another minute later, Yuzhi Boqing finally surrendered with all his might. Yuzhi Boqing won his first victory. Of course, if this is considered a self-win. After finishing the Seal of Reconciliation, Uchiha Kiyoshi retreated to his original position under Uchiha Shinziri gaze and watched the battles of other groups. The first battle ended like this, and Yuzhi Boqing commented on their respective situations. Perhaps I felt that today's situation with Yuzhi Boqing was just a coincidence, so I didn't specifically point it out. Then there was intense physical exercise again. In this way, the special training has truly entered the right track. With the guidance of Yuzhi Boqing's physical skill level has also risen sharply, but his style may be a bit incorrect. Please collect. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Preliminary Study of Chakra, for collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Preliminary Study of Chakra, for collection. When a person is invested in something, time always passes much faster. Since the first physical combat, 2 months have passed unconsciously. In 2 months, with a lot of fighting and guidance from Uchiha Shin, Uchiha Kiyoshi's progress was very obvious. According to Uchiha Shin, Uchiha Kiyoshi is almost as good as the newly graduated Nishin in terms of physical skills. Xiaonin actually relies mainly on physical skills, so rounding it down means that Yuzhibo Xin has almost the strength of a newly graduated Xiaonin. Actually, it's about being able to defend against an attack that just graduated from school before Uchiha's stamina is depleted. As for attacking the opponent, Yuzhi Boqing doesn't seem to know, but if you tire your opponent down, can you consider defeating them? After all, the other party also fell. Yuzhi Boqing said that the result is the same, that is, I knocked him down. Unfortunately, after 3 months of special training, without a medicinal bath, Yuzhi Boqing dared not exercise too much. As a result, his physical fitness cannot improve rapidly in the short term. However, Yuzhi Boqing was already very satisfied. During the 3 months of special training in the clan, Yuzhi Boqing was completely transformed and basically possessed the ability to endure. Of course, this is not a point worth showing off, and even Uchiha Shin rarely mentions it to others, afraid that the topic will suddenly shift to Uchiha Shin's tactics. During this period, Yuzhi Boqing did not try to reverse the situation of Yuzhi Boqing, but after many unsuccessful attempts, after investigation, he found out the previous situation of Yuzhi Boqing, and also roughly understood the reason, and stopped persuading. Sigh. He can only slowly break free from his heart knot in the future. In the morning, there is no need to go to special training anymore, and Yuzhibo feels much more relaxed in his heart. The intensity of the special training is really too strong, even Yuzhi Boqing almost couldn't bear it. If it weren't for the medicinal bath, he would even think he would be disabled by the training. However, this also indicates that the Yuzhibo family's medicinal bath formula is powerful and can treat such severe sports injuries. It is still intended for children and will not affect their development after treatment. It can only be said that it is truly a noble family that has been inherited from the Warring States period, with a profound heritage. Although there was no need for special training, Yuzhi Boqing still didn't slack off. After breakfast, he started warming up. Yuzhi Boqing, who is familiar with medical scrolls, can naturally develop the most suitable exercise method for himself without damaging the body and affecting development. After completing the basic training, Yuzhi Boqing started his own business. Although it has been more than 2 months since the successful extraction of chakra energy, I didn't have time to study it during previous training. Now that I finally have time, Yuzhi Boqing naturally needs to study it carefully. Yuzhi Boqing has been interested in the energy of chakra for a long time. Now that he has time, Yuzhi Boqing enthusiastically starts researching. Firstly, Yuzhi Boqing controlled chakra and placed it in his hands, waving his fist. Yuzhi Boqing was very satisfied with the sound of shouting. In the past 2 months, Yuzhi Boqing had already learned from Yuzhi Boqing that chakra can strengthen the body, and there will be a significant improvement in both attack and defense. After 2 months of battle, Yuzhi Boqing had already mastered some of the most basic skills, chakra's physical strengthening. For example, when defending, move the chakra onto the arm, and when dodging, move it onto the leg. Yuzhi Boqing has also tried to move chakra through various parts of the body, trying to see if chakra can nourish the body, but unfortunately, all attempts ended in failure. Speaking of which, if possible, the entire ninja world wouldn't have been unnoticed for so long. According to Uchiha Kiyoshi's research, the final conclusion is that chakras can significantly enhance the body's attack and defense abilities, but only for a short period of time and cannot provide permanent nourishment to the body. However, this was originally an attempt by ninjas. What is the difference between studying and not studying? Is it really impossible to nourish the body while practicing chakra? No, I must find this method, otherwise even if I reach the 6th level, I will inevitably die. Even if I can live forever like the 6th level immortals, I cannot avoid losing my physical body. In the eyes of Uchiha Kiyoshi, who has read many novels in his past life, losing his physical body is not perfect, and he may even lose space for further growth. Speaking of chakra, there are actually some places that are very magical. Since the first cultivation of chakra, Yuzhi Boqing has been running chakra once every time he cultivates. His body seems to remember the corresponding proportion and will automatically merge body energy and spiritual energy. According to the explanation found by Yuzhi Boqing in the clan's data room, after successfully fusing the chakra, no matter how pressed, the body will always leave a trace of chakra, equivalent to leaving a chakra seed. As long as physical and mental energy are input, the seed can grow on its own. Yuzhi Boqing can only choose to accept this setting. It seemed that something had come to mind, and Yuzhibo patted his head and got up to run into the warehouse upstairs. That is where my parents' belongings are stored, and most of them are ninja tools and notes left by my father. Previously, Yuzhi Boqing rarely flipped through these things. In his opinion, these things are not yet something he can see. What can an ordinary person who hasn't even extracted chakras use? It's not as fragrant as the database in our clan. Now, Yuzhi Boqing has cultivated chakra, and these things are gradually becoming useful and will eventually become Yuzhi Boqing's nourishment. Yuzhi Boqing searched for a long time and finally found a few obviously worn pieces of paper. Chakra test paper, this is what Yuzhi Boqing found. The chakra test strip is used to measure the chakra attributes of ninjas. Generally speaking, ninjas have one chakra attribute, and some geniuses have 2 or even more chakra attributes. For example, the 3rd generation Hokage monkey flying sun / is born with all 5 attributes. The chakra attribute is innate in the body, and the type of attribute it possesses means that it is easier and more convenient to practice this type of attribute evasion technique. The more attributes there are, the stronger the ninja's talent in ninjutsu. The chakra test strip is a tool that can test the chakra attributes of a ninja. Yuzhi Boqing also discovered these test strips a long time ago while packing up his parents' belongings. If it weren't for suddenly remembering and not knowing one's chakra attributes, I probably wouldn't have remembered either. For his chakra attributes, Yuzhi Boqing naturally hopes that the more, the better, which can save a lot of trouble. Staring at the chakra test paper in his hand, Yuzhibo took a deep breath and slowly injected his chakra into it. Injecting different attributes of chakra will result in different reactions on the chakra test paper. The wind attribute is cut in half, the thunder attribute is wrinkled, the soil attribute is fragmented, the water attribute is moist, and the fire attribute is also burning. If you have multiple chakras at the same time, the test paper will also be divided into different areas, displaying different phenomena. I saw half of the chakra test paper in Yuzhi Boqing's hand start to burn, while the other half is half broken and half wet. This also means that Yuzhi Boqing has 3 attributes of fire, soil, and water, with fire accounting for the largest proportion. Looking at the reaction of the chakra test paper in his hand, Yuzhi Boqing was extremely excited. With 3 attributes, this talent is not low, right? The only ones known to surpass him in the entire Kiba are the 3 generations of Hokage in Orochimaru, right? It is also possible for Zilai, but uncertain. With 3 attributes, it will be much more convenient for future cultivation. Yuzhi Boqing looked at the test paper divided into 3 parts and the idea flashed through his heart. However, it seemed that something had come to mind. Yuzhi Boqing looked around and confirmed that there was no one, then destroyed the test paper and returned downstairs. In the future, I will say to the public that I am a fire attribute chakra, and at most, I can add a soil attribute. Since it has been decided to hide, Yuzhi Boqing naturally needs to hide his attributes and cannot make any mistakes. Otherwise, it would be counterproductive and make high-level executives doubt their motives. Please collect. Give it a try and see if it's possible to maintain 10,000 changes every day. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Closing Practice. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Closing Practice. After studying chakra, Yuzhi Boqing, who had not gained much, was also depressed. It seems that not everything is as simple as he thought. Indeed, since we have all traveled through it, this is truly a real world. We cannot treat others like fools. Such a simple question must have been tried by countless ninjas. How could it be waiting for me to pick up the loophole? Yuzhi Boqing adjusted his mindset and thought about his own way out. I used to think that many things were just like that. It wasn't until I made them that I realized they were really difficult, or even impossible to succeed. Yuzhi Boqing reflected on his previous mistakes and said, I'm still taking it for granted. This is a real world, not everything revolves around me. Many things need to be done step by step to succeed, and it's better to think less about some unrealistic things. The plan also needs to be changed. In the real world, accidents happen at any time, and everything cannot be expected by oneself. We can only try to keep the overall direction unchanged, and small things can only be adjusted according to the situation. Yuzhi Boqing constantly reflected and formulated a new plan, which is to approach the overall direction of becoming stronger. As for the short-term goal, it is to strive for strength to reach the medium ninja level in the next few years of ninja school, so as to ensure safety. Kakashi can tolerate it at the age of 6, can't I tolerate it too much at the age of 10? Yuzhi Boqing has set goals for himself, so naturally he won't waste any more time. In the ninja world, ninjutsu is the guarantee of ninja's strength. Only by mastering powerful ninjutsu can one truly unleash their powerful abilities. Otherwise, just like Naruto in the early stages, with empty chakras and unable to perform ninjutsu, they would not be able to fully unleash their potential. The release of ninjutsu has two key aspects, which are sufficient chakras and correct seals. Of course, some special ninjutsu techniques do not require imprinting. In Yuzhi Boqing's understanding, there is no need to seal, and it is not that there is really no need to do anything, but rather that the process of sealing is omitted through proficiency or superb chakra control ability. Sealing, in other words, is the process of coordinating with the ninjas to activate chakra. Well, these are all what Yuzhi Boqing saw from the data room. In terms of chakra, Yuzhi Boqing has no choice but to accumulate step by step. What he can do is to fully understand the process of seal formation. Perhaps it is because I have received the most scientific education in my past life, from basic to advanced, gradually improving. With a foundation, learning many things becomes very easy. So in the realm of ninja, Uchiha Kiyoshi always involuntarily wants to explore many essential things. Or, in other words, it is not necessary to explore, as long as a relatively basic theory can be proposed and then learned based on it, the efficiency will be much higher. Taking ninjutsu as an example, the principle of ninjutsu release will not be mentioned for now. What Yuzhi Boqing needs now is to quickly learn ninjutsu, and to release ninjutsu, the ninja only needs to correctly seal and have enough chakras. But how can it be considered the correct seal? So, in the previous 4 years, Uchiha cleared the data on medical ninjutsu and sealing techniques, and the rest was focused on reading about the theory of ninjutsu, such as the role and techniques of sealing. From it, he learned that different ninjas release different ninjutsu, and the required seals are actually different. As long as you are proficient enough and your chakra control level is up to standard, some knots can be omitted. This is also what Yuzhi Boqing needs to explore, how to omit the seal and why it can be done. Anyway, I'm only 6 years old now and it's not yet time to learn ninjutsu. I still have time to study it myself. Yuzhi Boqing is not afraid of failure, even if it means failure. Perhaps a part of this research process will be useful for his future research. What I know now is still limited, and I can only accumulate it continuously. Only through thick accumulation and thin development can I truly establish the theoretical system I want. That's right, establish a system. Yuzhi Boqing wants to establish his own theoretical system to explain his understanding of many things, which will be more convenient for him to create his own ninjutsu in the future. Of course, let's put aside the research for now. There are more important things to do now. Firstly, practice printing. Yuzhi Boqing doesn't know how to seal himself yet. How can we study it, right? The ninjas have a total of 12 seals, which are Zicho I Mao Qin Si Wu Wushin Yusu Hai, and Yuzhi Boqing practicing one by one in order. Starting from being raw at the beginning, gradually becoming proficient, in an afternoon, Yuzhi Boqing's printing speed has reached 1 printing and 2 seconds. Yuzhi Boqing is also very distressed. There is no other way, so he can only practice more to make his fingers proficient in various print movements before making rapid progress. As a beginner who has just started practicing print, he should pay attention to proficiency and let his fingers adapt to each movement. Simply pursuing speed only results in falling behind. So, in the next few days, Yuzhi Boqing did not pay too much attention to the speed of printing, but constantly randomly printed 12 prints, allowing his fingers to become proficient in various printing styles and quickly react to complete the corresponding printing styles according to his own will. Among them, although Yuzhi Boqing did not pursue speed, he still controlled the time for each print to 2 seconds. For the increasingly proficient Yuzhi Boqing, the pressure was not too great. In this way, there is also an advantage, which is that it causes less damage to the fingers and the practice time is longer. However, even so, daily practice still made Yuzhi Boqing's fingers sore and swollen. Fortunately, as a big clan, there are many things in the Uchiha clan that are very comprehensive, with specialized drugs for treating and relieving finger fatigue. These are specially prepared for ninjas who practice imprinting. Through generations of improvement, the effect is excellent. And if the tribe comes to buy, they can also enjoy a 20% discount. Compared to medicinal baths, this type of medication is much cheaper, with a monthly dosage of only 10,000. Yuzhi Boqing can barely afford to use it. With medication, fingers can receive timely treatment, and the progress of Yuzhi Boqing is also not slow. In just 5 days, Yuzhi Boqing had already overcome the beginner stage and was able to achieve it. He could quickly react to any seal he wanted to create. Yuzhi Boqing has also tried it privately, and with all his strength, Yuzhi Boqing's seal has reached 1 seal per second. In 5 days, the progress of doubling the speed is no longer slow, and Yuzhi Boqing can feel that with his daily practice, he can still improve after becoming proficient. The practice of printing has been preliminarily completed, and then you can practice every day. Next, it's time to explore the principles of printing. Yuzhi Boqing has seen from the data room the explanation of the seal formation. Chakras are formed by the fusion of physical and mental energy, so in addition to using one's own control ability to directly control the movement of chakras, body movements can also cause the movement of chakras in the body. Among them, the most delicate part of the human body, the hand, naturally became the focus. Different fingerprints can cause different reactions of chakra in the body. Previously, Yuzhi Boqing only knew this statement, but he always knew its nature and did not understand why it meant different reactions. Today, let me have a good experience. What are different reactions? Yuzhi Boqing concentrated his mind, paying attention to the chakra inside his body, and his hands began to imprint. As the seal was formed, Uchiha Kiyoshi could feel that the chakra in her body was moving. However, due to Chiba Kiyoshi's focus on this, the chakra was still under Uchiha Kiyoshi's control and did not move. As long as you don't stop yourself, chakra should be able to operate on its own as the seal is formed. Afterwards, Yuzhi Boqing released control and even took the initiative to push chakra to complete the corresponding operation, and Yuzhi Boqing continued to study. So it turns out that's the case. Different seals correspond to different changes in the chakra, and the combination of seals also means the connection in the movement of the chakra. For example, a seal can make the chakra move to the position of the right arm, while a seal can make the chakra continue to move to the hand. Therefore, after a seal is made, the chakra will directly move from the abdomen to the right arm, and then continue to move to the right hand. Among them, it is important to pay attention to the connection between different seals. Only by controlling the time can this process be completed smoothly. Otherwise, the chakra will not be able to operate on the arm and form an imprint, making it impossible to complete this process. Moreover, there is more than one connection in this way. With the addition of a sub-print and an imprint, in addition to this process, it is also possible to complete the chakra movement to the left leg and then continue to move to the left foot. There are other processes, and even a few of them require the same connection time. So, the release of ninjutsu should be a specific chakra movement process, and what ninjas need to do is complete the correct movement. Yuzhi Boqing felt that he had found the right way to learn ninjutsu. In a frenzy of joy, Yuzhi Boqing continued his research, wanting to see what combinations there were between different Indian styles. Isn't this the arrangement and combination of high school mathematics? I understand that. Full of confidence, Yuzhi Boqing began to constantly try to find all the chakra reactions corresponding to each seal, and then combined them with each other. However, just as Yuzhibo was fully alert and determined to continue his research, the soreness in his fingers woke him up. Sigh. Just paying attention to research without considering the finger's load-bearing capacity, miscalculated, can only wait for the finger to recover before continuing. Yuzhibo gave a bitter smile and reluctantly stopped his research. Now, looking back carefully, different Indian styles can correspond to various chakra changes, and Uchiha Kiyoshi also took a cold breath. Just one sub-print corresponds to over 20 chakra movements. Thinking of this, Yuzhi Boqing also sighed at how impulsive he was before and started trying one by one. Even though I knew it was just a matter of arrangement and combination, I still acted recklessly. It seems like I'm not calm enough. Now that his hands cannot move, Yuzhi Boqing can only rely on daydreaming, recalling his previous feelings, trying various combinations, and summarizing his previous experience. With the classification of Yuzhi Boqing, it was found that the influence of Hindi on chakra is too great to be fully studied by oneself. Why do you say that? Under the classification of Yuzhi Boqing, it was found that the reaction caused by Hindi to chakra is not directly perceived based on the flow of chakra. Some of these reactions only give chakra a trend and cannot fully mobilize chakra's flow. Ninjas need to subjectively control it. When sealing, they push the previous one. In that case, there are likely many trends that have not been perceived by oneself. Moreover, what's even more terrifying is that in general, the chakras of ninjas are stored in the lower abdomen, not scattered throughout the body. That is to say, the changes caused by direct imprinting are only the impact of this imprint on the chakra in the lower abdomen. What changes would occur if there were chakras in areas without chakras, apart from those that can be felt directly through printing? This project is too big, isn't it? No wonder the creation of ninjutsu is so difficult. Is that so? Is this method unique to me or is it well known to many people? Yuzhi Boqing kept analyzing, uncertain, but still calmed down. It should not be, otherwise there would be no record on the surface. Many ninjas should only rely on the guidance of others, remember the necessary operating routes, and continuously accumulate knowledge. Is it only I who would go through such a boring process of summarizing one feeling after another? Actually, Yuzhi Boqing guessed wrong. How could no one in the entire ninja world have thought of doing this for thousands of years? It's just that there are very few people like this, and generally this kind of idea is only attempted at the beginning of cultivation. At this time, their chakra control ability is not as outstanding as Uchiha Kiyoshi, making it difficult to study anything. More ninjas should also have summaries in this area, at least with chakra reactions and other summaries, but they are mainly based on the roots learned in ninjutsu, combined with their own gradual exploration, and have compiled them. But on the contrary, I haven't practiced ninjutsu yet. When I'm bored, I try to summarize. Yuzhi Boqing shook his head and stopped thinking about these things. It seemed that he had thought of the different reactions of the large number of chakras again, and Yuzhi Boqing felt a surge of excitement. After thinking for a while, he still made a choice. It is better to first record the chakra reaction on the surface, which can be directly adjusted based on the Indian style, and then study other parts step by step. Finally, collect implicit and only trend reactions one by one, and this step can only be gradually accumulated. As for the issue of combination, perhaps it should be studied independently. After organizing his thoughts, Yuzhi Boqing also has a direction, and in the future, he will gradually follow this idea to organize and summarize. However, there are other things to consider now. Yuzhi Boqing applied ointment to his hands, bandaged them, and then left the door. After leaving the door, Yuzhibo headed straight to the data room. In recent days, in addition to practicing imprinting, Yuzhi Boqing has also been persistently searching for various materials in the reference room, hoping to find a solution to the problem of chakra's inability to nourish the body. Yuzhi Boqing is also really unwilling. With a good cultivation system, how can he not live forever? Even if various martial arts novels from previous lives did not have the effect of increasing lifespan or causing harm, then at least they would have lived a long life of 100 years, right? In the realm of ninja, practicing chakra can only increase lifespan, but it will also decrease lifespan. It's really a ghost. Please collect. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Inspiration from Samurai, for collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Inspiration from Samurai, for collection. Yuzhi Boqing is also well aware of the harm of chakras. Extracting too much can damage body cells, leading to a short lifespan for ninjas. Since the first time chakras were extracted, Yuzhi Boqing has not fully extracted chakras. But it's not a solution to keep doing this. If you can't find a way, the speed of chakras improvement will definitely be delayed. Chakra can't improve, and even learning ninjutsu requires searching, which will eventually exhaust you. Yuzhi Boqing is also anxious, taking 5 or 6 hours every day to go to the data room of the Yuzhibo clan, hoping to find inspiration. However, this is not something that can be easily found, and Yuzhi Boqing can only calm down and do his own things well every day. So, half a month has passed. In 10 days, the ninja school is about to start, and Yuzhi Boqing doesn't feel much about it. In half a month, Uchiha Kiyoshi's printing speed has doubled again, and he can now make 2 prints in 1 second, meeting the standard for learning ninjutsu. As mentioned before, the release of ninjutsu is achieved through the movement of chakras within the body, which requires a certain level of sealing speed. Otherwise, the effect of the previous print has already passed and the subsequent print has not yet been completed. How can it be successful? Moreover, the printing speed of Yuzhi Boqing mentioned here is simply a matter of hand speed. Without any coordination of chakra operation, it only takes 1 second or 2 prints. If we add the adjustment of chakra, we also need to pay attention to the rhythm between the handprints, as 2 seconds may not necessarily result in 3 prints. The Uchiha Itachi in the original work has 1 second and 6 seals, which is also in the case of releasing ninjutsu, which means it has chakra's movement and is still in combat. So it can be said that Uchiha Itachi's 1 second 6 seals are very strong. Otherwise, as long as they are willing to practice, anyone can actually have a hand speed of 1 second 6 seals, but the difficulty lies in chakra's adjustment. In general, it is necessary to familiarize oneself with the chakra flow throughout the entire ninjutsu release process, and then keep up with the speed of 1/6 mark per second to operate the chakra. After the seal is formed, the flow speed of chakra is actually constant, which can be controlled by the ninja themselves. The increase in printing speed is actually accompanied by an increase in the speed at which ninjas push chakras. Even with the guidance of fingerprints, this process is quite cumbersome, and it is difficult to achieve without daily practice. The speed of printing, Yuzhi Boqing can only gradually improve step by step. Record and summarize the chakra movement corresponding to the handprints. Yuzhi Boqing has entered the right track and completed the recording of the impact of the 12 handprints on the chakra movement in the lower abdomen. Other parts have also begun to be studied. However, due to the limitations of Uchiha Kiyoshi is not particularly outstanding in terms of chakra quantity, so the time allowed for Uchiha Kiyoshi's research every day is also limited. So the problem returns once again to chakra. Throughout the development history of ninjas, chakras have always been a major factor that has hindered their progress, so there is actually not much time left for Uchiha Kiyoshi. Yuzhi Boqing has also decided that if he still cannot find a solution within 3 months, he will give up his original plan and focus on refining chakra. Anyway, there are also some strange and bizarre ninjutsu techniques in the ninja world. If possible, we can create a new body and reincarnate from the dirt in ourselves, starting from scratch. Of course, the prerequisite is that one's own strength is strong enough to keep such a backhand. Upon further investigation into the shortcomings of chakra, Yuzhi Boqing sighed helplessly, recorded the previous data, and stopped this research. After recovering his spirits, Yuzhi Boqing stood up and went to the data room of his clan. Along the way, Yuzhi Boqing kept thinking about his previous problems and also had some worries about gains and losses. 3 months, can I find a way to use Chakra Yun to nourish my body? Sigh. Did I go the wrong way? Yuzhi Boqing frowned and sighed at times. Fortunately, he walked with his head down, and with fewer pedestrians, no one saw his appearance. Otherwise, he would have thought Yuzhi Boqing was crazy. Arriving at the data room, Yuzhi Boqing first greeted an old man at the door and then walked in. The reason for saying hello is not to think that they are characters like sweeping monks. But, they are just this type of character, not that simple. The entire Uchiha clan, as well as the ninjas who have come here to search for information, all know that the old man at the door is not a simple commodity. Yuzhibo Xiong, a retired ninja of the Yuzhibo clan, had the power of elite ninjas during his peak period, and now also serves as the foreign affairs elder of the entire Yuzhibo clan. After all, the data room is an important place that not everyone can come and take care of. Yuzhi Boqiong raised his head and looked at Yuzhi Boqing. He remembers this younger generation who often came here to read books since childhood and was a good child. However, a while ago, he also learned some information from Yuzhi Boqing, and he was very regretful about Yuzhi Boqing's situation. You can only rely on yourself to overcome this hurdle in your heart. Alas! With such a studious younger generation, I don't think their talents will be inferior. Unfortunately, if this little guy can really come out, maybe his future is limitless. Cloudy eyes looked at Yuzhi Boqing's back, and Yuzhi Boqing made a secret evaluation in his ambition. Unfortunately, Yuzhi Boqing doesn't know. He didn't know that his disguise was actually covered up by a human brain. Sure enough, a person's brain-boosting ability is the strongest. Yuzhi Boqing walked into the data room and headed straight towards the medical area. The Uchiha clan is proud and conceited, but they are not careless, and their data organization is still very neat. The entire data room is divided into different areas, with the largest area being for writing will-I-related materials. Of course, only people from the Uchiha clan can enter here. Then there is the foundation of illusion, followed by fire escape, and then there are other areas of escape, medicine, sealing, and so on. Yuzhi Boqing has been reading books in the medical area recently, hoping to find inspiration for Chakra's nourishing body from the perspective of improving physical fitness. For the past 4 years, Yuzhi Boqing has frequently visited the medical area for his own sealing surgery, and Yuzhi Boqiong, as the administrator, is naturally well aware of this. Regarding this, Yuzhi Boqiong didn't say anything either. In this regard, he wouldn't interfere with the direction of the clan's cultivation. Moreover, Yuzhi Boqing has always enjoyed reading this knowledge since childhood and seems to be able to understand it. Perhaps he really has talent in this area. Having an excellent medical ninja or a ninja proficient in sealing in the clan is naturally good. Moreover, Yuzhi Boqing's situation may make him a good medical ninja. Uchiha withdrew his gaze and closed his eyes again to pay attention. Time passed while Yuzhi Boqing was studying seriously. Yuzhi Boqing put down Ninja Forging Foundation and scanned the bookshelf. Suddenly, a book called Bushi Forging Technique caught Yuzhi Boqing's attention. How could there be a samurai's book here? Picking up this samurai body forging technique, Yuzhibo was also puzzled in his heart, not knowing why his family, a ninja family, was collecting this thing. Perhaps it was accidentally obtained and then discarded, but unfortunately, it was left here, right? Originally, Uchiha Kiyoshi planned to put this book back, but upon closer examination, he had not yet studied methods to improve the physical fitness of samurai. Is it a bit short-sighted to keep his gaze on ninjas? Should we study other systems? With such thoughts in mind, Yuzhi Boqing opened this book, Samurai Forging Technique, and seriously studied it. Afterwards, Yuzhi Boqing specifically searched for several books on samurai and planned to study them himself. 2 hours passed unnoticed. Yuzhi Boqing seemed unaware and still looked at the information in his hand. Now Yuzhi Boqing is holding a biography about a certain warrior. Seeing that the samurai had lived to be 120 years old, Yuzhi Boqing's gaze froze and he felt that his inspiration was about to come. 120 years old is basically an impossible lifespan in the ninja world. Even Yuzhi Boqing, who was hanging by an external demon statue, only lived to be 80 or 90 years old. After careful study, Yuzhi Boqing realized that he was no different from other warriors and had never taken any miraculous medicine. The only difference between this warrior, who had lived for 120 years, was that he was more easygoing and rarely fought with others. So, there aren't any hidden injuries or anything like that on my body. Yuzhibo murmured to himself. Looking at the book in his hand, his gaze became scattered, and his thoughts were nowhere to be found. Yuzhi Boqing suddenly woke up and began searching for biographies of other warriors. Sure enough, it's not an exception. Samurai who were not injured much in their youth or received timely treatment have a relatively long lifespan. The lifespan of humans in the realm of ninja, even without practicing chakra and suffering from diseases, cannot reach the level of 100 years. Yuzhi Boqing felt his brain heating up and his breathing was rapid. He felt that he should have found the direction. Excited for 5 minutes, Yuzhi Boqing finally calmed down, took a deep breath, and slowly exhaled. Yuzhi Boqing also controlled his emotions. Picking up the previous samurai body forging technique again, Yuzhi Boqing began to study it. He felt that he must have missed something and needed to study it carefully again. Unconsciously, it was already late at night. Under the urging of Yuzhi Boqing realized and quickly apologized. He put the book back in its original position and left the reference room. Upon seeing Uchiha Ieyasu leave, Uchiha Ieyasu did not immediately close the door and instead focused on the information Uchiha Ieyasu had just researched. The samurai body forging technique. Why are you looking at this kind of thing, kid? Are you still so engrossed in it? After taking out the samurai body forging technique, Uchiha Hiroshi roughly read it for a while and understood the content. He wondered, isn't it just a samurai body forging technique? As for being so serious. The samurai body forging technique is too wasteful of energy. Although it outperforms ninjas in physical skills, it has already been eliminated. Yuzhi Boqing murmured to himself, suddenly taking a cold breath. Hiss, this kid, can't he? Yuzhi Boqing couldn't believe it. So afraid of death. Even the samurai's physique is so interesting. Medical ninjutsu, samurai physique. Hiss. The information is a bit big. Immediately, Uchiha became concerned about Uchiha's situation. This kid doesn't really have the perseverance to learn the samurai style, does he? This is too regrettable. How could a child who works so hard be so scared to death by the blow? Forget it, let's observe and observe again. If he really starts practicing this, I will give him guidance and guidance later. Such a good talent cannot be delayed on the path of a warrior. Yuzhi Boqing didn't know that his behavior had reminded the gatekeeper so much. If you knew, Yuzhi Boqing would only say, you think too much, so difficult exercise, the effect is still slow, that's why I can't persist. Please collect. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Attempts of one-hand printing, for collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Attempts of one-hand printing, for collection. Yuzhi Boqing is not interested in the physical training methods of samurai, but is too interested in the longevity of samurai. Yes, it's also a system that can cultivate to the shadow level. I never noticed the cultivation system of samurai before. I can only say that samurai has really declined and has been replaced by the relatively fast-paced ninja system. On the way home, Yuzhi Boqing was also contemplating his gains for the day. Compared to when she went, Yuzhi Boqing's walking is no longer so heavy and much lighter now. Finally finding a breakthrough, Yuzhi Boqing naturally won't let go. He carefully considered where the samurai system was, where the body was nurtured, leading to an increase in lifespan. Samurai. I didn't pay attention to it before. What exactly does a samurai's power rely on? Is it called chi? It's also possible, but what is this chi? It can't be increased out of thin air, can it? Yuzhi Boqing constantly pondered and proposed the concept of qi, but where does qi come from? Just like chakra is formed by the fusion of physical energy and spiritual energy, qi should also have its own source. Is it physical energy? Body energy. Is it physical energy? That's right, warriors need to exercise their bodies crazily to make progress, but physical energy is reasonable. At this point, Yuzhi Boqing has basically found the direction. I did not study the effect of body energy on the body before, and it was my negligence. Yuzhibo gave a bitter smile. However, soon after, it occurred to me that body energy is actually uncontrollable. Even when I am naturally researching, I can only constantly perceive and completely lose control. Can we only exercise and vent our anger through the methods of warriors? No, there must be other methods. Try them slowly and you will always succeed. Yuzhi Boqing no longer thinks about this. He feels a bit confused now. It's better to take a good rest and continue studying this tomorrow. Thinking about it, Yuzhi Boqing didn't leave any ink marks either. After returning home for dinner, he practiced for 2 hours to form a seal, applied ointment, and then fell asleep. The next day, Yuzhi Boqing woke up full of energy and remembered yesterday's gains. A smile appeared on the corner of Yuzhi Boqing's mouth. Ah! A beautiful day has begun. Perhaps it was yesterday's discovery that finally untied the knot, and Yuzhi Boqing was in a good mood today. While exercising daily, I am also thinking about how to control my body's energy and nourish it. However, when it was time to study the seal, Yuzhi Boqing still put aside these thoughts and focused on studying the seal. The research on printing has now entered the right track. Although many things can be studied, there is not enough ninjutsu, and it is difficult to understand the meaning represented by each cycle. Therefore, it is not urgent to persist in studying for an hour every day. It's a one-handed printing, which can be done for a while. After all, it can be used anytime. Yuzhi Boqing reduced the time spent on researching and printing to 1 hour, so he had more time left to train himself. Since the special training ended, it has been over half a month since Yuzhi Boqing trained without any throwing. A portion of the time that has been set aside now is dedicated to trading without throwing. After 3 months of special training, Yuzhi Boqing has been able to basically guarantee hitting the target center, but of course, it is only a fixed target. If the target is moved, it can hit the target. However, the foundation has already been laid, and as long as training is done step by step, Yuzhi Boqing's throwing skills will improve very quickly. Of course, today I made a last-minute decision to shorten the research time for printing, so I won't go training for now. With the extra time, Yuzhi Boqing decided to try single-handed printing. Can you summarize the corresponding fingerprints? Yuzhi Boqing also has his own research ideas on single-handed printing. Binding itself is nothing more than adjusting the chakra. As long as you find a set of single-hand seals that can replace the chakra adjustment required in two-hand binding, you can preliminarily complete single-hand binding. The real challenge is to summarize all the single-hand print styles into the most concise system. However, Yuzhi Boqing had no intention of doing so. One reason is that doing so is too cumbersome, requires a lot of time to waste, and the cost-effectiveness is not high. Secondly, Uchiha Kiyoshi is just trying, and only a few commonly used ninjutsu techniques can be used to create a one-handed seal. Moreover, what Yuzhi Boqing is more concerned about is actually Muji ninjutsu. Even without much research, Uchiha Kiyoshi can imagine that single-handed sealing is bound to be extremely troublesome, requiring far more than the 12 seals of both hands. Therefore, apart from being inconvenient to seal with both hands or needing to surprise an enemy, Uchiha Kiyoshi does not need single-handed sealing. The research on single-hand printing should not be too focused, and at this stage, it is only an attempt. After learning ninjutsu, for the most practical ninjutsu, research the corresponding one-handed binding method. Yuzhi Boqing separated the 12-hand prints and used them with one hand to record the corresponding chakra reaction. Overall, with an hour of research on hand printing, the time spent is no different from before. After completing the research, Yuzhi Boqing went to the data room again to continue searching for information. Upon arriving at the entrance of the data room and bowing to greet the master at the door, Yuzhi Boqing entered the data room under the eerie gaze of the other party. For the other party's eerie gaze, Yuzhi Boqing couldn't figure it out, but these were not important. First, check the information. Upon arriving at the medical area, Yuzhi Boqing did not search for any information related to the samurai. Uchiha Kiyoshi, who has already obtained direction from the samurai system, now needs a method to control body energy, and the samurai system actually does not have much reference. According to yesterday's understanding by Yuzhi Boqing, the warrior's physical training was actually unintentionally accumulated into the body, without realizing how this process was carried out, and even when it started may not be known. So Uchiha Kiyoshi didn't waste time on the samurai style, but instead focused on medical ninjutsu. Although there is no real medical ninjutsu scroll here, some relevant information can still be found. Yuzhi Boqing remembers not knowing where he came from, but he saw a saying that the ultimate yin retreat is spiritual energy, while the ultimate yang retreat is physical energy. It should be a fan of a certain book, and Yuzhi Boqing is not sure if it is correct. However, this does not prevent Yuzhi Boqing from seeking methods in medical ninjutsu. Medical ninjutsu is a method of stimulating human cells at the wound site to quickly heal the wound, which can be considered as a certain degree of exploitation of the potential of human cells. However, Yuzhi Boqing still sensed something from it. Ninjutsu itself does not have a therapeutic effect, and the corresponding therapeutic effect produced by stimulating cells. So, how is this treated? It should have stimulated the cells, they began to divide, and then the wound healed. However, newly formed cells are very fragile, especially in large wounds. After treatment, they are all newly generated tissues, which are not as strong as other areas that ninjas have trained for years. How can this be solved? Is it really difficult to rely solely on ninjas to retrain themselves? Can it be physical energy? Cells generate a large amount of body energy, and then the cells at the wound quickly catch up with the original cells. Even if it's not enough, they should be able to become stronger without relying solely on the ninja's own exercise to recover. Yuzhi Boqing is constantly making inferences while also searching for information related to medical ninjutsu. Finally found, the first explanation of medical ninjutsu, The author belongs to the Thousand-Handed Clan. What is the situation? Yuzhi Boqing was also surprised to see the author's name on this book, but quickly realized it. It should be the spoils of war during the Warring States period. As a long-standing rival, the war between Uchiha and Xianshou has occurred frequently, and it is only natural to obtain some basic scrolls from the opponent. Immediately, Yuzhi Boqing stopped thinking too much and started researching this book. Just as Yuzhi Boqing was studying the initial explanation of medical ninjutsu, what he didn't know was that the person at the door, Yuzhi Boqing, also looked back at him, especially after noticing the book he was holding, as if he had breathed a sigh of relief and showed a pleased smile. It seems that yesterday was just a chance encounter with the book about the warrior's body forging technique, and this kid became interested, right? Learning medical ninjutsu is always more useful than reading about those samurai things. The Uchiha clan has never produced a truly powerful medical ninja before. If this kid can achieve something in this, it can be considered as making up for one of the family's weaknesses. Please collect. End of this chapter.